Intersections Radio, live here on Blog Talk Radio, powered by eastrologer.tv. I'm your host, Ernesto, and I'll be with you for the next hour here. It'll be a miracle if we keep the show up. My computer's acting up pretty hard today, so fingers crossed that everything goes the way that it's planned. Beretta, are you there on the line with me? Can you hear me right now?
I'm here.
Outstanding. So it looks, we normally start the show off with an introduction or that kind of thing, but we actually have somebody in queue right now. So we're going to go ahead and take a call right now, if you don't mind. For everybody else who's listening live, be sure to give us a call here on the show. We're not paying attention to other chat outlets. That's going to be at area code 319-527-6071. That'll be for the next hour or so until about 7 p.m. Arizona time. So, and to our caller, area code 423, we're going to be catching up with you here in just a second here, but just want to let you know that if you're just listening to the show and don't want a reading from us, then just hit any key on your touch tone phone. That'll send us the message that we'll move on. So, but we are going to connect with you right now. Hi, you're on Celestial Intersections Radio. May I have your name and date of birth, please?
Yes, Carrie, and my date of birth is 2/14/1971.
Have I read you before, Carrie?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Then let me make a new profile here for you. You said that was 4/17/71?
No, it was 2/14.
Okay, 2/14.
February 14th, 1971.
At what time, Carrie?
1971. It was at 11:57 p.m.
Perfect. All right. And Carrie, would you like a general reading today, or do you have a question about an issue?
I was hoping to find out about relationship and job.
All right, sure. We can take a look at that one for you. But one last thing before we get started here. Where were you born?
In Lexington, Virginia.
Lexington, Virginia. Okay. All right. And I will take a look at that relationship thing here for you. Beretta, what you got for Carrie here?
Carrie, could you spell your name
about
for me?
job too? I'm sorry.
No problem. We'll see what comes up. Can you spell your name for me?
Absolutely. It's CARRIE.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
There you are. Okay, so relationship. You're not currently in one, are you?
Well, kind of.
All right. So I'm not feeling a bond there, whether it's just too soon or it isn't strong enough. I'm not picking up anybody there. There's from potential, I can feel friend energy or shadow energy that comes around. And so where this individual is concerned, are you comfortable giving me a name or at least initials?
ST.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you may be feeling or hoping that this is the one. I got to tell you, I'm not feeling it. Looking at this individual's energy, they're putting on a good show. It feels like they're putting on the airs to make it sound like they're all calm and good-natured and friendly. There's a deeper issue, or there's there would be something at some point in the future that would pop up that should be a deal breaker for you, Carrie. However, I think you'd overcome, or you'd try to overlook, or you'd weather through bad times because you take your vows seriously if it were to come to something like that. But I'd say really think hard and long about this individual. Whether they want to do it, whether they're just so predisposed to this position, I don't know. But the reality of it is it should be a deal breaker for you. I feel like where they come from has really strong, like I said, they sound good. They have really strong standards. Maybe they're pretty established. They've got a lot going on. But that dark side, that could mess you up. That could hurt a lot. And I feel like you've got a little bit of your own ability that gives you that inclination, but you can't put your finger on it. So,
Yes.
you know, whether I would say it's drinking, an addiction, just a bad anger issue, I don't know. I don't want to dig that far. But the reality of it is it doesn't feel, and it'll go on. It'll go on unless you stop it. The reality of that is it is something that'll hurt eventually in the long run. Now, I feel like the other thing that it might affect or influence in the long run are children. And, you know, I feel like you're very devoted. You're a very devoted mom. You're very connected to your kids. And I feel like if you thought something bad would happen to them, you would go to the ends of the world to make that right. So think long and hard on how dedicated you are, or not dedicated, attached to him you are, and really what, if there were deep, dark secrets, what could it be that it would be wrong enough for you to say, you know, I don't think this is going to work for me. Like I said, he's making all the right overtures, but the reality of it is as strong as those overtures are, whatever the dark secret is stronger. Now, and if it's gone on to the point to where you're just not sure why it hasn't progressed any further, I don't know. I'm getting gray on that. I can't tell if it would be the fact that you have not responded appropriately to overtures. You haven't given him the idea you're gullible enough to put up with whatever's going on. I'm not sure. And I do feel like at some point he would eventually probably want to do a little bit more of a commitment level to this relationship. But that's up to you totally. But I would think long and hard. Now, okay. And that's really all I'm going to say about that, because Ernesto would need a lot more information about him and his birth date and all that to be able to tell you. But I'm going to go on to job. And I would say that isn't going to be a problem. I think what's stopped you so far are all the other obligations that you feel like you've got going on, and you're not getting response or feedback, or there's just not the right thing that's caught your eye. I feel like if those probably the relationship, if those things are connected to the relationship, then in your mind, this is what I want you to do to play with that. Bubble up him and put him on a shelf and say to yourself, if he wasn't in my life, what would I want to get a better pay in? And watch it come available. Watch the opportunities pop up. Because if I were to bubble him up and put him to the side, I could say to you, there's something coming right down the pike here very shortly that's going to give you more energy, better pay, something more that you want, whether it's the same job in a promotion or another job entirely, doesn't matter. You're going to get it either way. But there are decisions on your part that need to be made first. Now, and I feel like that's soon. That could be, I don't know, I'm getting the number 4, so we're going to say April or 4 months on. I feel like that isn't going to be something that you would want to overlook. You know, I feel like it would definitely be something that you'd want, and you wouldn't want to actually jeopardize or lose the opportunity of. So, are you in retail?
I'm in sales. It's not retail,
Okay.
but it's sales. It's
Okay.
outside.
Huh?
And I have an interview on Friday.
Yay. Okay, so it's good. I feel like it's a good opportunity. So commit to the job. And again, a lot of things that you need answers to are going to pop up. You're going to have the opportunity to know that you're making the right decision. It may be the job itself that brings the ugly out in him. So, it is what it is. I feel like it'll give you the opportunity to progress or grow or or develop yourself, or, and I feel like the opportunity will give you the permission to know that you can take care of yourself enough that you'll make the right decisions later on. Now, Ernesto, what can you give her about the job?
Now, Brett,
Per se,
I have to ask you something because I really sort of wonder, Carrie, you can clarify this for us. Would you say that the relationship that you called in about today and the job that you called in about today, that in essence they're really kind of very similar, if not the same question?
No, not really. The jobs are totally different. The relationship, I think it's something that I think everybody's looking for the dream,
that perfect guy.
but they're not really connected.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
relationship
Okay,
thing
so
I think is more like this is just a nice thought. This is something that I would like. This is like the rose-colored glasses. If it's something that you're actually in physically right now, like it's definitely not official by any means. Like everything is so unbelievably confusing. In fact, I would almost sort of wonder if this person is going to just kind of go away by their own means, because the overwhelming sense of confusion in this whole matter is just kind of like, I can't handle this and what's going on. So I think that, that relationship piece, that I do agree with Veretta. There is a friend that's absolutely on the horizon, but I don't necessarily feel like it's going to be like the romantic, like big gesture kind of thing that you were sort of hoping for. That's a separate inquiry, and that's further down the turnpike. But as far as like, just for right now, yeah, there's somebody new that you can pal around with. So that potential is definitely there. And then as far as the job is concerned, looking at that one, I would really love to see you in, working in a casino, honestly. Like, I think that you would do very well with that line of work. I'm not sure if that's meant to be like a karma sink for some other personal issues in your life that, like you need to use this as a vent for these other really, kind of sticky situations that I can get involved with, or other people in my life. So then, you have this other activity that sort of absorbs a lot of that negative energy. So I feel like a casino would be a strong place for you to work. And if not, if that's complete, if marketing, sales, that kind of thing is totally out of line for you, and that industry, then I would also be looking at like some travel industry things. I think that would also bring some new opportunities. I feel like that there's just new industry. You're going to have good luck getting your foot in the door in something new that you've never started or tried before. It's been more of like a pipe dream, or yeah, that's nice, but not for me. I feel like that you're going to have one of those really nice opportunities coming up here very soon, and that's going to get you into the new job. So that's going to get you taken care of for the money issues. So that way, you can attract that partner. I think the relationship thing, whoever it is that you're thinking about, getting serious with, that's not really a great idea right now. I think that it's just going to distract too much from, Carrie's personal journey and your story and what you want to focus on right now. Like, I have a thing that instead of focusing on all of these other people who don't care about me, let's focus on the variables I can control. So when I'm not sure what really I want to do with myself in any given moment, I do things that help me out in the future, like I'll go for a walk, or I work on writing my textbook, or I work on a screenplay. I do something to work on myself. And I feel like that you would really benefit a lot from that too, because the speculation and these projected conversations that we have with ourselves when we're alone about how things are supposed to go down, that's truly all it is speculation. At the end of the day, nothing happens because, we're just in this projected space. But when we do these tiny little actions that all start to add up, then that really benefits us in the future. So I do feel like that the job is absolutely imminent, and let me advance this forward to look. You said you had an interview on Friday, is that right?
I do.
Okay, so if we advance this to the 24th, let's say, and then do that again. Okay, where are we at now? Okay,
so do you have her chart up?
I do. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have the wrong view up. There we go. We're all good to go now. So you can see that there. That's the sun. The pointer's on the sun right now. That's what's out in the sky. That'll be on the day for Friday when you have the job interview. Little black or big thick black box is going to go around that. That's going to be very close to that pink dot right there, which is going to be the question regarding your career. So the fact that we have this black and this pink that meet up here, that all speaks positively when we look at like this axis point of the midpoint of the pink and the blue. I'll draw a line there so you can see that a little bit more easily. But like because all of this is lining up, like this is job related matters. This is money issues. So this is all lining up for you in a positive way. So that Friday interview, I do think you will have some good luck with that one too. Just
Yeah.
like I always say, don't mess it up because we are our own worst enemy at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
think so.
Well-
What you asked Ernesto about him being involved with the job was what I picked up that may be the clue she gets when she gets hired onto this job. It may start to bring out the negative aspects in him, and that may be what you're picking up.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Can you tell how long it'll be before I actually get a job? Because I mean, the interview I have on Friday would just be the first of say 2 or 3 interviews if I move forward.
Well, I mean, that's a
'Cause
separate
it usually
inquiry.
takes like 3 interviews.
It takes me a while to calculate all of that, but you should be in work, I want to say, by like the end of next month at the very latest. Rhett, did you pick that up too?
I would say no more than a week, but I do also think that there is either a background or some type of history application that they'll want to review for you. So you may not actually start for a couple of weeks. I feel like you'll know or you'll have noticed that the job is yours and final, but it may take a little while for them to get through all the paperwork.
Right. Yeah. The start
Oh,
date
that's
is
wonderful
separate from
news.
the job
Thank you.
offer.
Yes, because I have been out of work since September.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
it's a
that's
good
definitely
job.
changing.
You're gonna rock it. Yeah, you're
Okay.
gonna rock it. It'll be good.
And keep your eyes out in
Thank
this
you
new job
all.
for new friends, when we talk about that this could be, a place where perhaps, like your soul decided to contract with this establishment, this company for the sole purpose of meeting, like ABC people or players, characters in your life story. Like that's going to be a thing that, your work environment will become really hot for, making new acquaintances, especially when you're a new hire. Like if you're starving a little bit socially right now, and you have been for a while, this is definitely a time to change that up because people are going to be on your side and very interested in what you have to say and offer to things just because you're new blood. So there's that
Right.
aspect, and also that keep your eyes out that you might have a relationship partner that may show up to you from this job also. That that's an entirely separate conversation with HR and other kinds of complicated issues. But I do feel like that a relationship partner is not only just on the horizon. Like this will probably be the year that you meet up with that person, but also that that person could show up in that environment through work. So I just want to throw that out there for you to keep your options open.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, you guys are great. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great to have you on the
Thank
show,
you.
Carrie. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share, and we'll catch up with you next time.
That sounds wonderful. You have a good night.
Yeah, take care. You too. Until
You
next
too.
time. Many blessings.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, so all right, Beretta. So just want to let everybody know, if you are listening on YouTube or Facebook Live or wherever the heck you're picking up our show, give us a call here on the program. We are at area code 319-527-6071. We will be here until 7 p.m. Arizona time. So I've had an interesting experience over the past week or so where I became mindful of the things that I can control, but I don't want to, because I delude myself into thinking this is important and it has to be done right now. A lot of us have this experience in life where we feel like that one awful thing that we know is really bad for us, that's going to really ruin everything that we had going, that we have to go running into the flames because we're under duress when we're really not. So me coming to terms with this has been a really important lesson in time management, where I realize, like, I can only focus on what my mind will allow me to. So, Veretta, you and I have this experience quite often that, like I'll tell you about something offline and I'll say, oh, hey, I was talking to so and so, or, I was looking at X website. And, it's like, and I have to do some more research, but we'll talk about it again in the future. And then I never bring it up again, right? Like it just totally vanishes and disappears. You know why? Because I am a stickler when it comes to referrals, that what I refer people to has to be of good quality. And if it is not through my vetting process, then I don't introduce that to people. So, I mean, really what I'm doing here is just saving you a lot of time because, like I put people through the battering ram to make sure that they are who they say they are. Otherwise, like if you aren't that person and you've already fulfilled your purpose, there's the bridge. We can say goodbye right now.
Yeah. Most definitely. Well, and y'all also have to look at what maybe you're giving to them. When you do that, that may be what they contracted or they come into your contact for, was to have you say, move along, carry on, have a good day. And you don't really have to do it with malice. You just need to be mindful that, like I said many times before, everybody comes into our life for a reason. Some are for us to learn from, some are for us to teach. Just depends upon how you look at it.
And I'm not sure if you said this in a conversation or if this was through your Facebook post or what it was, but there was something, and I know this was very recently, that says something like, sometimes relationships, sometimes spirit decides that relationships in your life don't serve you any further, so that door is closed against your will.
Right. Absolutely. Because you're not able to do it for yourself. So therefore, spirit is, and they are more than willing to take care of you.
Yeah, and I had this experience recently that was somewhat distressing with a very good friend of mine that I palled around with for a while when we worked together in the call center, and then, it was really sort of an unspoken relationship of sorts, and then it just sort of vanished out of nowhere, out of thin air. It's not well. It's an aside that's characteristic of my major relationships anyways, that people ghost me. I won't get into that part because that's not so interesting. The main thing is that, like when I look back on it, my life really isn't any different without this person. Like I could have still done all of the exact same activities by myself. It wasn't really necessary. So like when we talk about one of the dialogues that we have on this show is that people who are in your life are meant to be there for a reason, keep them there. And then people who are not there, supposed to be there in your life, keep them far away because there's a reason why they're not in your life. That's when people open Pandora's box and, do stupid things because they don't want to have boundaries.
Right. Or they don't know how. For whatever reason, they've been taught in their family conditioning or through their relationships that, if you love somebody, you're going to put up with whatnot. And no, the reality of that is if you love somebody, you need to love yourself first just as much to be able to have somebody that's going to love you that much too. And it's not okay for someone to abuse you. And I don't care what kind of abuse it is, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, sexually. There are so many forms from abuse. But people don't know that. People don't know that that's not okay or that that's a form of abuse. And they do not have to put up with that at all whatsoever. And if they do, they're doing so voluntarily, and they're not a victim. They are absolutely there for a reason, and they're putting up for a reason. But if they, they're there just because they don't want to leave or just because it would be, they wouldn't have to be the victim anymore, then okay, that's your choice. It's still, at the end of the day, abuse. And it's not something that you have to put up with whatsoever.
And, the really tricky thing is the fact that as the outsider, as the victim, like, what did I do wrong that, my dad is a monster, or that, that this other person is really just ruining my life right now? Like, I didn't ask for this. I wasn't born into the world, with any prior knowledge that was different or otherwise. We expect everything to be that storybook, Norman Rockwell painting where everything is kittens and rainbows and really beautiful. And then when you have, a dragon in the room with you, you wonder to yourself, well, what the heck did I do wrong to set that off? And after so long, where this pattern repeats itself, you eventually come to terms and you realize, it's okay for me to say goodbye.
And what you should also realize is, hey, maybe it's not me doing anything wrong at all. Maybe that person is so damaged that they have to, they were abused, and they have to express their abuse in damaging others. And one of the things that I tell people when I'm counseling a lot is, it's not so much about you, it's about them. They're not doing this to you because you did something wrong. They're not doing this to you as a reaction to what you've done. They're doing this because they don't know anything else, and they don't know how to treat you decently, differently, with love and kindness. And again, you have to decide, well, if that's what they were taught, then maybe I can teach them different. Yeah, maybe you can, but let me tell you what, you're going to be just as damaged as they are by the time teaching them how not to be damaged is through. And so it's still okay to walk away from those individuals that would treat you wrong just because they got damaged as a kid, and you're doing nothing but trying to bend over backwards and prove that you can be trusted, or you won't hurt them, or you're never going to take them for granted. They're still going to treat you wrong because they don't know anything more, and they can't do anything less than treat you with what they know.
Yeah, and then again, as the victim, you think to yourself, what happened to so and so that they are so damaged and that they have to operate in
Yeah.
this way? It just leads to all of these questions where I, as the victim, think, I want I want everything to be perfect. I want to help people, I want to fix them, and all of that. And so we run down these rabbit holes, and then so many times after getting hit by the battering ram, we just say is enough, and enough is enough, and then it's like, really no bother is given. Goodbye. Like there was this, I forget who it was. Somebody wrote a book that was about grief and loss that was called "I'm Glad Mommy's Dead," which is like saying that you don't have to, like you don't have to victimize yourself over the loss of a parent who was horrible, or of some
Yeah.
other loved one,
Yeah.
because we're conditioned in American society to mourn and to grieve, when that doesn't necessarily have to be the thing. Like depending on who's gone, I may be dancing a jig, and then that's it, and
Yeah.
then I'll spit on their grave when I'm done, because I am so
Well,
thrilled that this terror is out of my life, that I can move on with myself.
right. Well, and too, when you again, you have to look at the bigger picture. Spiritually, you have to look at the perspective of, I must have contracted, or I must have signed up for this, or if I signed up for this, then I can move on to whatever it was I'm supposed to do and be done with this person. And if you're going to be in any kind of relationship with someone that is damaged, you need to do it at an arm's length. By that I mean, don't take anything personally. Don't set yourself up for drama that may go on. And definitely know when it's time to walk away if they're going to continue and then succeed in tearing you down to their level.
Completely changing the subject, on our last program, we had a caller, one of our new subscribers, Charlene, who said that she was an activator. This is the first time I'd really ever sort of heard of this term, and we sort of glossed over it just for the sake of time. But what is an activator, Veretta? What does that exactly refer to?
Okay.
What does
So
that
what that
process look
is
like?
someone that is someone that is going to put in motion energy that is there or able to be there, but isn't in flow yet. And an activator is, for the lack of a better term, a new age word. However, it's still valid in those people that are finding themselves awake to a reality that they didn't know existed. I'm dealing with someone that is an activator, and she knows it. And she is from a very religious background, and she has a very conservative family and husband. And she just recently realized she couldn't support the husband, and he wasn't going to support her, in the fact that she has knowledge now that's being downloaded to her regularly on how to be that activator, to how to activate the energy that's being created. So we all know that things are afoot and change is happening. We just don't know what kind. And whether you're secular or not, you're going to have to come to terms with understanding there's more about humanity than we know. And so an activator is someone that is here to usher in that new movement of energy that will eventually become the norm. And it's like it's like turning on the tap. Let's say they're a tap and you're turning on the water. They're an activator and they're going to let the energy flow. Now, it's depending upon what type of energy it is, will determine what type of activator they are, whether it's through healing, through metaphysics, in a more of a less than conventional way, a channeler, ET. There's so many types of activators there are, but you'll find them more and more coming out of the woodwork now, and there are YouTubes galore out there with women and men and people that are supporting the activators that need to finally group together, because we know that where there's more than one, there's more energy. So when they finally join a force, they're going to be able to create what they're here to do.
Okay, so then an activator is like a blanket term for somebody who practices any discipline. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's more
They
about
don't
like,
necessarily have to. They don't necessarily have to be practicing. They just know who they are, and it's really not people that are doing it yet at all. Now, some of them have had to begin to start. It would be like if we were to have termed the original indigos activators, because they got the world started in knowing that there are children out there that are different. But they don't have to be participating or practicing in any modality at this point, other than to know that's who they are and they're ready to get started. They should be learning about things like this, but they do not have to be practiced. They do not have to be in order doing it as a job at this point.
so would you say, in your knowledge and expertise, Veretta, that Uranian astrology and how you've experienced it with me anyway, that this is a form of activation?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because like if you really pay attention and read between the lines, we always say that there's a positive and a negative. That's the free will element of it, of our actions. And so like we can make this chart come true based on your actions, which is sort of why we need astrologers and can't be replaced by automation, because we don't know how this chart is resonating. But once we know that, then we can say, okay, so here are the options in this matrix of possibilities that's available to you. And then and you can have this,
Right.
but it's based on your own actions. So that's, I can see where
Exactly.
the activator part of it comes into what we do.
Right. That's right. It's only probable what we can know, based on their energetic truth or their celestial truth. But the reality of it is they have to make it happen, or we can tell them what we see, we can tell them what we know, and they can make it not happen because that's not what they want.
Right. I mean, I've thought about writing a sitcom. I don't know what it would be about. It was based off of a spec that I heard about a long time ago. How I Met Your Mother, right? The sitcom. The entire
Yeah.
show is based off of, like everything that happened in past events leading up to meeting your mother, right? And then like the main character tells the story to his children about how he met her and everything else. So that's the whole premise of the show. Now, what if you took an entire, same cookie cutter concept, looking at a flashback about past events and other things like that, but you have, I don't know, an influencer who goes to get a psychic reading or sees an astrologer or something like that. And, they're not really a believer but so they get the reading anyway, and everything's going great. Everything is perfect. And, their life is really looking nice and hitting all of the positive marks. They're really starting to buy into it. And then the reading's pretty much over, except, the person at the very end says, oh, and by the way, I don't really know what this means, but it looks like you might die next month.
Oh, I actually had something very similar to that happen. A skeptic sat down at my table, and it was apparent that he was very well educated. He was well maintained. He, was very confident in self, and everything I kept telling him was things he already knew or things that, would be just applicable to everyone. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what you need to know that's going to be different. I don't know what to say. And so just for grins and giggles, because people sometimes need to see tools being used, and I kept tarot cards on my table. And so just for grins and giggles, I reached over and I grabbed that tarot deck and I flipped it in half and the death card popped up. Oh, maybe that's what I'm supposed to tell you. So it was, that kind of thing does happen like that, and it was funny because he got the, what does that mean look on his face, like, oh, how am I going to explain this one? But yeah, I've had that experience.
And then I think to myself, about like this influencer who's told that they're going to die next month or whatever. And so it's so then the entire TV show is about all of the insanity that they endure to cross things off of their bucket list. It basically becomes like My Name is Earl meets How I Met Your Mother, and it's like somebody who's just really going off the deep end and messing up pretty hard because they are so convinced this this lie that I'm dying next month cannot possibly be true
or can't be changed. They can't change it. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I was even having this conversation with a friend of mine this past week that, I remember a long time ago, I was looking at a client chart and, she had this thing that, it looked like that there was going to be a loss, to put it bluntly, that, that she was going to have, some pretty difficult things that were going to happen. So, as the astrologer, the question becomes, can they avoid that? Like if we know that they're going to lose, let's say, a son, for example, because of, all of their personal lifestyle choices and things that they're not getting out of, is there any way that, we could prevent this loss from happening, that separation? Well, it's a yes and no. It's sort of a dicey thing because, like I may be able to see this in your chart and I can advise on that. So if, you course correct fast enough and, have those issues looked at in that other person, then there's a reasonable expectation that, that your chart may not see that type of thing. But remember that your wife didn't decide to leave you today just spontaneously out of the blue. There were a lot of things leading up to that event, just like you don't wake up with lung cancer overnight or you don't wake up with periodontal disease. There's a lot of lack of self-care that's going on behind the scenes that we don't pay attention to. So when, we're seeing, when the astrologer sees something like, loss of a child, we wonder, can that be avoided to an extent? Because, like that only goes as far as I can throw it, because I can do my due diligence and educate somebody to, try to do the right thing. But if they don't want to hear it, if they're unable to pay attention to, those types of calls to action, then I would expect things to end tragically because, it's very hard for me to, to show tough love to somebody who I've only been enabling with their entire life. So it's really tricky in those types of situations. So I do see we have our subscriber, Maddie. We're going to catch up with you in just a moment here. Brett, is there something you wanted to add to that about, like, is it really possible that we can, like, change our fate in that regard?
Yes and no. If it's something they contracted in before, when they come in, they're going to go. No matter what you do, they're going to go. However, if it is something that's variable and you can afford to put some time to try and influence, it's a 50-50 either way. You can't do it and know that the outcome is going to be what you want. You can only do it and pray that the outcome is going to be what you want. Now, can that individual change that end result outcome? Absolutely. I've seen people on hospice. I've been an advocate and a caregiver to hospice individuals that have absolutely changed their end time frame. My own mother did it 3 times, and so it's possible for that end date to be negotiated here while we're living, But whether someone could absolutely 100% say they can change or stop someone's end date coming, that can't happen 100% because you just don't know what the situation was prior to that date being concluded.
And you know, the other thing too is that while most life events are actually calculable by math, while we can just do a whole bunch of really fancy formula work and, you know, punch out some dates when things are going to happen, when it comes to things like loss, you know, death, those sorts of things, that's really sort of God's territory. You know, like we can beat our heads into the wall to figure out all of that. And believe me, it can be done. But to a certain extent, you know, that's God's territory. That breaks into like the human experience kinds of things. Like, I don't want to be that jerk who
Right.
spoils the end of the movie for you and saying that, you know, oh, by the way,
Yeah.
you're going to die on a Tuesday. That would be really sucky if somebody gave me that information.
Yeah, every Monday night they'd be holding their breath until Wednesday morning, wondering, "Oh my God, it's tomorrow the day."
Yeah, I mean, there's always that famous example with Hans Niegemann, who was Alfred Witt's student. You know, when Niegemann was in New York at the time, and he saw some bad things that were happening in his chart, and he was convinced, I am not going out because I'm not getting mugged, I'm not getting hurt, none of this bad stuff is going to happen. So he, you know, planted himself in bed, had his medicine and his book, crackers, all of that stuff on the nightstand because he was so convinced that something awful was going to happen the next day. And guess what happens? He rolls over in bed, falls out, and breaks his thumb. So that's what happens. You know, like something awful did happen. It just, you know, it wasn't something that was really very controllable.
Right, you're right. It was inevitable.
So, let's get off to Maddie here at area code 770. We haven't caught up with you in a while. Hi, Maddie. You're on the line with us. Can you hear me right now? Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hey! I know it has been a while, but I wanted to look at my grandson's chart.
Oh, at Lauren's chart?
My grandson.
Yeah, Lauren, right?
So what?
Lauren is his
What's
name?
his name?
Lawrence.
Yeah, I got it. And he was born in 9/1906, right?
Oh yeah, you got it. Oh, I forgot. I spoke to you about him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
sure. Now, Maddie, what's going on with Lauren? Do you have a specific question or what's going on here?
No, just see where he is with his you know, with his thinking, where he is with, you know, he's 16 going through those teenage, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Oh yeah. When did I give you Lawrence information? I forgot.
It's
Wow,
been a
it must have been a
while.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would so like to listen to that archive again.
All right,
Wow.
Veretta, what you got here for
Right.
Lauren?
So, are you directly responsible for him? Are you in control of him?
No,
or- I don't.
I'm grandma. I'm just in his life, you know, trying to help God too.
Okay.
He has his mother and father, but you know, grandma. He kind
Yeah, I
of looks
hear
up
you.
to me too. Yeah.
All right. So, for whatever reason, I'm feeling I want to say that you can step in and be a little bit more hands-on in giving him distraction, because I feel like in a way he's either bored out of his mind or he doesn't have enough opportunity or option to have different choices made. It's almost like he's only got so much available to him, so he takes that. He doesn't know anything different, so he just runs with it. I feel like a lot of this may be friends or people, maybe where he goes to school or what he does in a way, but or neighbors, maybe neighborhood kind of kids. But the thing is if you were to give him an idea of what else he could possibly do, I feel like that would go a long way in keeping him maybe controllable, and that's the wrong word to use. But the reality of it is Grandma, if you said, hey, have you ever thought about picking up a hobby doing such and such, and then provided him the means, I think he would do it. I feel like right now, right this second, is really the only time this choice can be made, because if it isn't almost too late, it will be soon for him to have already gotten into some habit or some type of, I don't know, some kind of controversy that's going to get him in trouble. So start pushing really hard about make him agree with you too, Grandma, because he won't promise you anything that he doesn't actually try to do. And he won't compromise that promise by letting other people get in the way if it's to you. Mom and Dad, for whatever reason, it's a different story. But for you, if you were to say, hey, if Grandma took you to get something and you promised to do it, would you? He'd say, yeah, if it was something he liked. Now, you may have to come up with one or two things that's going to give him, things he might want to do. But the reality of it is I feel like, Grandma, you're the one at this point that can maybe make that difference and take him away from trying to choose, or not trying to choose, but just being connected with things that
being the only child, too. Being the only child.
Okay,
I told his father, I spoke to his father, was it last year before last, this child needs some outlet. He's a teenager. He needs to get a job, how kids work in the grocery store or whatever. He needs something. He needs an outlet. But his father don't want him to work. So I asked Lawrence. Lawrence he's tall, slim, and he's my grandchild, but he's a good-looking kid. So I asked Lawrence, I said, Lawrence, how would you like modeling? He say, what's that, Grandma? I said, modeling. Right. So the other day I was with him, and I had a magazine. I say, you see that? You want you can just stand and pose and look good, wear nice clothes, look good, and they shoot you. And the money in that, I said, yeah, there's nice money in that. So that's what came up in my spirit. I say, would you think you like it? So
you're on the right track.
His father does photography. That's one of his hobbies. And I said, I'm going to ask his father, take some photos of Lawrence. I'm going to take him around to the modeling agents and see what see what they think.
Yeah. It may need to be more of just a hobby at this point. Because I don't know that he's ready to actually hold a job. And I really feel like Dad would get in the way if that were the case. But if it's a hobby that he can develop, it started now, once he's able to work, or 18, that he would absolutely take that and make money with it.
I thought you could start working at 16.
He probably could, but I don't think Dad's going to be okay with that. And you don't want to put something in his path that's going to create controversy. You don't want to make it a struggle. You want it to be something that Mom and Dad will leave him alone about and let him do whatever, it is that he's doing.
I even told his dad something about drumming, and his dad said that he was going to purchase a drum set for him, because when he was a little boy, he used to love to beat on the table, and he had a nice little beat going, and I think drumming would be good for him. But his dad is, I don't know why his dad's so stern. Oh, I just want to concentrate on school. I don't want him to do nothing. Yeah. But he's the only child, and I know he gets bored and restless.
Yeah. I think you're seeing a behavior pattern in Dad. Dad doesn't know any different. Dad didn't get those opportunities, so Dad wants him to have them.
Yeah. Well, Dad, I don't know. Because his dad is from the other country over in Ghana, and his father raised him, and his father was a renowned prophet over in that area. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about but all I know, he said his father is the one that raised him, and maybe he didn't get those. I don't know, but Lawrence, I know Lawrence is the only child, and Lawrence, I can see that he get restless and bored, and he does a lot of. What surprised me when I was with him the other day, he had his pad and looked like he's doing some writing.
Mhm. That's what I'm seeing.
So what?
That's what I'm seeing.
You seeing writing?
Either writing, in story or writing in song, writing in lyric, either one.
Songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, songs. He had his
You
passion to come
ought
up.
to really encourage him to keep doing that,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe even get him a synthesizer or something he can create tune with and go, put complement the writing.
A synthesizer?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Suggested that he'd given him a synthesizer or something that he can complement his writing with, and that probably would carry him a long way to getting uninvolved with the people that he's doing whatever he's doing with. Ernesto, what can you tell us?
Smoking pot.
Mm-hmm.
He's smoking pot, marijuana. He said, Grandma, it just opens me up. I just thought, he said, he's opened his creativity up. So I said, I don't know, because I don't indulge in that. So
here's the thing about that, Grandma. He's absolutely right. It does. But why it does that is because it takes all the filters off, which means he's no longer protected. He will be attacked or influenced by any low-level energy that comes along because he doesn't have the ability to understand the difference. He will assume that what he's hearing is someone just giving him lyric to a song. Yeah, well, that's all well and good, because the next thing you know, they're going to be telling him, hey, you need a little money, go rob a bank, or, go steal a car.
Oh, yeah.
He's not going to know any difference.
Yeah, that low frequency. Yes, that low vibrational stuff starts sneaking in, yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yes.
And if he can do it with, so this is the other thing. If he can do it, if he feels like he can do it with the pot, the reality of it is he'll do it better without. He just doesn't know that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's
actually
a fallacy. That's a fallacy that I have to tell a lot of people, because yes, it really does. It opens you up, but the way it opens you up, it totally rips down all your defensive walls, and then you're just victim to anything that comes along.
And Maddie, I just want to add this on there. Retta, is there anything else you wanted to add? Because I have some stuff I can work with here.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so Maddie, I have to say this. As somebody who's been functionally addicted to something my entire adult life, like your grandson, Lauren, he's 16. The brain does not stop developing until the age of 25. You need to let him know. Find YouTube videos, something. Every single time he lights up, he is literally throwing away IQ points. He is literally throwing away brain cells and taking ice cream scoops out of his brain. Why? He could grow up to be, a young, vibrant, really smart-ass guy. And, he wants to do dope. Just because it makes me feel good. As somebody who struggled with this myself, I've come to realize, it's actually a scientific fact that whatever is in the THC chemical actually exists naturally within us as human beings. So we don't have to do anything. Like when we go to the gym, when we have a really good pump or workout or, kickboxing class, whatever, same similar sensation. It's just like, when as somebody who perceives music by color, when all of the harmonies and tones of a piece of music line up just right, just perfect, it tickles me on the inside in such a way that I immediately start crying. And it is like the best high that I cannot possibly describe. It is absolutely true, Maddie, that Lauren here is, he's a musician. I don't know what type of musician, because that's a separate analysis entirely, but getting him turned on to music or finding his interest with that would be quite wise. That's really something that I think would be a really positive outlet for him to redirect a lot of that negative lower energy. So, you can do this by, perhaps for his birthday or Christmas or something like that, get him a Novation MIDI keyboard. I bought one off Amazon for like $90. It's, it's nothing fancy.
Okay.
It has maybe like 16 keys.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Something to practice on. Get started, yes.
No, it's not even to practice on. It's really just, a small instrument designed for desktop use so you can input notes quickly into music production software. So if he they have a
keyboard, you say a keyboard.
Yeah, it's a small little keyboard. It's a MIDI keyboard.
Not a drum.
No.
A MIDI keyboard, not a drum. not a
No.
drum set.
A keyboard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And so
Okay.
what they do is, like you can program the keyboard into your software. So every single time I press this key, it will automate the entire input process of the software. So it's something that people just use to work faster. And like if he gets
Okay.
into music production, that kind of thing, it's really easy. There's a course I took on Udemy for $30. That was totally worth it. Like that's something that he would get into that would take him off all of this other stuff. Music actually gives us it's probably one of the only things I would say in the natural world that stimulates the feeling of really, really good ass drugs. So if he can learn to make that replacement right now at this point in his life, then he'll never want to do that other stuff again.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Oh wow.
You're welcome.
Oh wow. I'm so happy I called.
See everything that you learn when
Get
you
some
give us a call
guidance.
here on the show.
Say what?
See, we give you a college education when you call us here on the show.
Yeah. 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 I'm gonna definitely let his mom listen to this too, and I
Yeah.
want his father to listen.
For
Yeah.
sure, look into that.
I'm gonna pull it back up.
And if you have trouble finding that Novation MIDI keyboard on Amazon, just hit me up through my website, and then I can send you an email with a link to the product.
You say what now? You have the product?
No, I said I can send you a link to what I got, so in case you need some help finding it.
Oh, well, I think a mini keyboard.
Not mini,
And I
MIDI, MIDI.
Oh, M-I-T-I.
D-I, D as in
I
dog.
thought you said mini. M-I-T-I?
M-I,
keyboard.
D as in Delta, I.
Oh, D is in Delta.
That's the one, yep.
M-I-D-I.
Yes. Sweetwater.com is a
So-
terrific website to shop. They have chat experts who are not commissioned by sales. You can just ask them general questions like, hey, I'm looking to buy, a MIDI keyboard under $100, looking for something entry level. What you got? And they can tell you everything. They're really, really helpful over there for people who don't know what they're doing, especially me, like starting this show a long time ago.
Okay. So MIDI keyboard and go to sweetwater.com.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
sure.
I
Well-
would definitely look into that if I cannot find it on Amazon.
Yeah, but
I for some reason, I don't know why I think that Amazon has everything, and I don't even order from Amazon.
They
I just
really
know
do.
that the trucks are everywhere.
yeah, that's for
Yeah.
sure. So, but yeah,
That's everywhere.
Lauren really has a lot of music stuff in his chart, and he would be really good at it too. So, I really hope that we can introduce
Okay.
him into this now, sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Well, I'm happy I called.
And then
Yeah.
also, I just last thing I just wanted to ask: would he ever consider living with you?
He probably would if I would, but if his father would let him.
Yeah, because I feel like Lauren's the kind of guy that you really have to beat him over the head to get changes to stick. And putting him in an extremely sheltered environment is something that he would really benefit from right now. So I don't know what his home life is looking like right now, but if any way that there's you can arrange that, that he would very much benefit from that. And I could almost guarantee that looking at both of your charts together, this is just an aside from, some other stuff I'm feeling intuitively that, you two would work really well together to have something like that happen. So that's definitely a conversation to tuck in the back of your mind for the future.
Okay, or if not live with me, spend more time together.
Yes. And helping him with his music, that'll help. That'll, be a big draw for him too.
I'm not musically inclined though.
I know,
But
but he can teach you all about it. You can learn it together.
Right.
He could teach me. Yes.
Right.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Well, it was
That is such an enlightenment.
yeah, it
Thank
was
you so
great to
much.
have you on the show, Maddie. Be sure to give us a call back in the future and let us know how it turns out.
I definitely will.
All right, for sure.
Most definitely will. Thank you. What's her name?
Veretta.
What's your name?
Beretta.
Veretta. Thank you, Veretta. Loretta, what you see
You're
around
welcome.
me? Well, I guess that's enough. You did enough for Lawrence. No, that's fine.
We're on Sunday. Call us
And start
again.
getting greedy.
Yeah, we're on Sunday. Don't forget at 10 a.m. So we'll be here for another hour this
On
weekend.
Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'll call back on Sunday if I'm home.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right, for
Well,
sure.
thank you guys.
Yeah, it was great to have
appreciate it.
you. We'll catch up with you with you real soon. Until next time, many blessings.
Okay, that's true. Okay. Peace. Bye-bye.
Okay, well, we do want to thank all of our guests for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and close out the show at 7 o'clock on the dot here. So for all other things to Uranian Astrology, be sure to go over to eastrologer.tv, and you can check out Veretta at verettavision.com. We'll be back with you guys on Sunday, which will be the 26th here, for another 1 hour show at 10 to 11 a.m. Arizona Standard Time. Again, my name's Ernesto. It was really a pleasure. I love doing this show and being able to prove the astrology to everybody like this. It's just such a beautiful, unique system that really does provide the answers that we're looking for about life's biggest questions. Veretta, again, thank you so much as always for joining us too.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Everybody have a great rest of your week. We'll see you on Sunday.
Yep. Have a great week, everybody, and we will catch up with you guys soon. Until next time.
Blessings.
Good luck
Blessings,
and Godspeed.
blessings.